Starts back over with Dr. Tim Penny from Mexico and Dr. Deagle popping in, Paul Watson from England. You know, I just want to be clear here. State Department Memorandum 200 saying they got to sterilize and reduce the population by half. Biological diversity assessment by the UN 1996 and others saying they want to get rid of 80% of us. The official statements, Dr. Eric Pianka, I just use him because it made national news. Most people heard about him. So it was big news for a few weeks. Said, you know, he wants 90% of us to die with an airborne Ebola. And then he can't wait for everybody to die, and he wants it to be basically engineered. And the FBI even went and visited him. We called for that. When you go to Pianka's site at UT, I haven't checked this in about a year. Google Dr. Eric Pianka UT, and go. It'll be EDU. It'll be University of Texas site. It's him in Druid robes saying he's a Druid and that he loves Lucifer. This is on the University of Texas site. Now, this guy who is a Druid, goes to class as a Druid, big beard, biologist, he has all these graduate students that send us threatening emails and people that, I went to him 10 years ago, he's great. It's them in white lab coats as doctors and biologists in BioShield bioweapons programs. You know, the BioShield program you hear is to fight bioweapons, but they admit it's really a bioweapons program. But the key here is this guy got up and got a standing ovation at St. Edward's here in Austin. It was in the paper, and it was also Texas Academy of Sciences when he was meeting in South Texas. All over the world, he gets standing ovations when he says, kill 90% of us. And his graduate students sent me papers saying, look, Jones, he is a conservative. I believe the humans are a parasite. We did reports on this at prisonplanet.com. All humans should be killed. So this is what Prince Philip, Ted Turner, the UN, the Kissingers. So when Steve gets into all of this, they admit they're Luciferians. Even if you're an atheist, the point is, cold-bloodedly, just from an anthropological, view or studying the elites, if you're studying, if you wrote a book, The Elites of the World in the year 2009, published 2020 or whatever, imaginary book, and you were just an anthropologist, sociologist looking at what the elites really believed, they're a bunch of bloodthirsty killers that want to kill everybody for Gaia. Earth First Battalion and the Pentagon, all of this. And so when Steve talks about all this from his Christian perspective, and I'm a Christian as well, not a mainline fake Christian, regardless, the real data shows that. And so we have to look at this when they're saying swine flu virus may cause global pandemic, United Nations, French news agency, and, U.S. emergency declared. And, in fact, I didn't even get to this. It's in my stack of mainstream news where the U.S. government is saying stay indoors in these areas in Texas. Napolitano says the really bad stuff's to come. America's told to wear masks as swine flu spreads around the globe. Remember the media told you that you didn't need masks. It was safe at ground zero. We got on there and said you needed them. Well, the point is you need a nano mask. Just the regular mask may reduce a piece of spit in the air. If somebody sneezes, some mucus that's got the virus in it. So it does help reduce, but it doesn't completely protect you. You need to get nano mask. I worry about folks like my dad, who's a dentist doing bloody procedures every day. But again, it's all hype right now. Why all the fear? Why the gearing up when other flus kill far more than this? Well, it's unseasonable. Didn't come from the East. Is a weird transgenetic mixture. Telltale designer came out of Mexico, not in the flu season. Just all of this is going on, and other countries are acting scared to death of this. Something's going on, and I hope they pull back from whatever they're planning. But, we've given you in the first few hours the view that it's a hoax, the view that they're hyping it. But remember who's doing it. They've proven they're capable of anything. Steve Quayle.
First of all, people are emailing me asking me, do I think this is just a distraction? I would say this is part of the entire plan because, Alex, and everyone I've interviewed over 25 years in the world of spooks, kooks, and everything else that comes along the way, and spies, counter-spies, intelligence, military, etc., the central theme you've got is that these entities, that worship Lucifer and hate Jesus, by the way, the idea is that they are going to distract with as many issues as they can to simply overwhelm us. Because, look, if it isn't the money system that everybody's worrying about, gee, how am I going to retire, blah, 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 now they got to worry about this, worry about that. This is all part of the plan to simply overwhelm. This is the shock and awfulness of Lucifer coming at people. Now, this is not in itself to the degree that it's going to cause the 30 million deaths. That's coming. I believe that when you start seeing massive chemtrailing, and I'm talking beyond anything you've ever known, and when the chemtrail residue starts to touch the ground, you better not go outside. You better know the basics of biological warfare preparation. You better be building your immune system. You better have nanoparticle mass, not just the N95s. It's interesting, Alex. We're talking about some of those virulent, deadly things ever conceived. And by the way, how you can tell this is Lucifer and that it's not a natural thing? Every single thing that God created in the book of Genesis, he created after its likeness and kind and saw that it's good. The thing that the devil wants to do more than anything is destroy every parameter, every boundary, every act of beautiful, wonderful, godly creation and substitute the Luciferian death-destroying force into that whole equation. So what does that mean to us right now? It means that if Doug McIntosh, the guy who sent me the email, who in my opinion was so far ahead of his time in writing that, people poo-pooed him on the economy. But the deal is, look, if it is a race-specific, biologically engineered, and Alex, when Wutar Basan, ladies and gentlemen, go Google it on my website, stevequayle.com, when he was arrested, the most powerful, richest people in the world demanded his release. Guess what, Alex? He wrote the book. He was the one that was the breakthrough scientist on race-specific targeted genetic weapons. Now, if that doesn't scare the hell out of everybody, maybe, brother, you and I need to just, hold our breath or something. And if it doesn't provoke them to take action, nothing the DHS says, Department of Human Sacrifice, nothing the official mouthpieces say. Look, even to a certain degree, those people at that level don't understand the higher levels of esoteric murder, okay, or ritual satanic deliverance of the innocents to death. And I can't fault them on that. Obviously, they don't see it. But what they don't understand is once they're done implementing their taking down of, quote, the red list, they get whacked within 30 to 45 days. You brought up the United Nations, okay? And that professor, I remember doing a show with you when you brought him up before. What people don't understand, the United Nations has a process. You ready for this, Alex? The name of taking down the Earth's population is called curative process. C-U-R-A-I-T-V-E. The interesting word, is it?
Steve, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to give you. So based on where we're at right now, this is not just a little flash in the pan. This is not the normal vectoring of a pathogenic release. This is simultaneous releases in different parts of the world.
And normally they would have been following it as it was in Asia, moving to Europe. Here, it just pops up in Mexico. Flus
Absolutely.
Don't do that. I mean, this thing is clearly manufactured. The question is it a false alarm, or is it what Dr. Deagle was saying earlier? Well, it seems you're saying it's a carrier to turn into something worse.
I'm agreeing with Dr. Deagle, but I'm saying that, and absolutely agreeing with him. And the thing is that, to my knowledge, when he and I have talked off the record and off the mic, he was intimately and intricately involved in a lot of the machinations of viral weapon development. Saying all that, Alex, the thing that people need to know is what they can do. And I will tell you this, they had better consider the basics. They should really be looking at the fact of looking where the clusters come. Here's how I think it'll be. It'll take place, the martial law implementation will ultimately start in stages, okay? Whether it's Texas border towns or it's the entire border, but as you've said, this border, isn't it strange? We've got the most dangerous, pathogenic, health emergency declared by Janet Napolitano, and yet the borders still stay wide open. And I think that the Cinco de Mayo, which happens, I think, on May 1st, doesn't, or is it May 5th? I don't know. During the first 5 days of May, then you get the whole May Day thing. May Day is the time of universal distress. So what I'm saying is, based on the occult symbolism that I'm familiar with, this next coming 5 days to 14 days is going to be absolutely critical. If Mexico...
Yeah, well, that's when they always are launching all sorts of bizarre occult activities, launching the revolution of the Soviets and others is on May Day. It's an occult day. By the way, look at Dr. Eric Pianka's UT page. It's all about DNA sequencing and how he wants to get rid of people. And then you go to his obituary. He has a link on there, official University of Texas Biology Department. And he says, I'm not dead yet. And then he calls himself the Lizard Man and the Snake Man. And then you scroll down, he's in here talking about Lucifer, and then he names his animals Lucifer, and then he's dressed up like a druid in here. I mean, this guy, this is who wants 90% of us at least to die. And he's got his ranch out there, and it says, just absolutely amazing. It used to have him dressed up like a druid on here. We did find another page that has the picture of him. I mean, that was on his UT site. It may be on the subpage. I hate to interrupt. Well, regardless, they're going to use all this fear they're hyping, Steve, to get more control over society. We know that they are, doing that and training us that they're the saviors. And
hey, Alex, one of the things people need to recognize, why is it that independent / supposedly independent networks always use the same neuro-linguistic programming term? You turn on CBS, it's the same term. You turn on ABC or whatever,